Joining me now is Texas Congressman Greg Casar. He is a member of the Committees on Oversight and Accountability and Education and Workforce. He is also the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. Welcome back to the show, Congressman. Good to have you. This effort in Texas, it has the support of President Trump. So what are your concerns that this will disenfranchise Democratic voters in your state? And what can Democrats do about it?
This is the biggest thing happening in American politics right now that folks viewing at home probably have not heard about. Donald Trump does not have a plan for winning the midterm elections. He has a plan for trying to rig those elections and rig those rules far before they ever happen, because it is deeply unpopular for him to have cut health care for over 15 million people, all to help his billionaire buddies with tax breaks. He knows he can't win the election fair and square, and so he's trying to start redistricting completely out of cycle in Texas to disenfranchise millions of voters of color in violation of the Voting Rights Act, all to make sure he cannot be held accountable in the upcoming elections. And if he does this in Texas, he could spread it like wildfire all over the country. We've got to fight back.
Well, like Minority Leader Jeffries, California Governor Gavin Newsom said he'll consider doing the very same thing in California if Texas goes ahead with its, to your point, mid-decade redistricting plans. Is tit for tat a good strategy for Democrats?
Gavin Newsom is doing the right thing, and we need more governors to take his lead. Because, look, I and all the Democrats currently in the House and in the Senate are for independent redistricting without gerrymandering. The question is, how do we get there? We do not get there by blue states having commissions and then rewarding red states for not having them. There has to be a cost to states like Greg Abbott here in Texas thinking he can take advantage of our broken system. And so in my view, California should have said, we will have an independent commission when Texas has one. That New York should say, we'll get an independent commission when Florida finally implements one. That's how we get rid of this gerrymandering and this voter suppression that Donald Trump is pushing.
Switching gears, because at Trump's direction, Attorney General Pam Bondi requested the release of the grand jury testimony in the Jeffrey Epstein case. I'm curious what you make of House Republicans' somewhat tepid response to a resolution to release more documents in that case. Should Democrats make the administration's lack of transparency on Epstein a front and center issue?
This is a front and center issue about Donald Trump because, look, when you want to understand why Donald Trump is doing something, you know that he's looking out for himself. In this case, like so many others, he's willing to lie to his own supporters, betray his own people, no matter who it was that endorsed him. He's willing to lie every single step of the way. And if he isn't just looking out for himself, he's looking out for his rich friends through pardons and through cover-ups. And so this story about Jeffrey Epstein is a bigger story about how Donald Trump is willing to betray you, not just if you're a progressive voter, not just if you're in a blue state, but his own supporters. He's willing to throw them under the bus every single time.
Another pivot here to a Democratic candidate for New York City Mayor, Zohran Mamdani, who had a whirlwind week meeting with influential labor leaders, business executives, House progressives as well. But his highly anticipated sit down with Hakeem Jeffries failed to produce an endorsement from the House Minority Leader. What do you make of Jeffries and other Democrat leaders, their reluctance to endorse Mamdani, at least yet? And I'm curious your thoughts on Mamdani's laser focus on the cost of living issues and Republicans making him now sort of the avatar of their opposition.
I think Democrats have a lot to learn from Mr. Mamdani's campaign that, as you said, was laser focused on bringing down the cost of living for everyday people in his city. I also think Democrats have a lot to learn from how clear and universal his policy messages were. Oftentimes, Democrats say we're for better child care programs, but we're going to run them through the state and you've got to get a voucher. No, we should just talk about universally bringing down the cost of child care, universally bringing down the cost of prescription drugs. Mr. Mamdani ran on making buses fast and free for everyone. I think those sorts of messages, if we are universal and bold, it's not just about whether we run to the center or run to the left. It's about whether we run in a way that everyday working people can relate to. I had a very great meeting with Mr. Mamdani when he was in Washington, D.C. I'm impressed by him, and I'm encouraging my colleagues to support him as well.
But I'm curious, why not the endorsements yet from those that he is seeking? I mean, is it because you have two Democrats with running in the race as independents with Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo? Is it because he's too progressive for some Democrats' taste? I mean, what is it?
Those questions would be for the folks that haven't endorsed Mr. Mamdani. I'm a supporter of his. And, I'm not in New York City, but here in Texas, I think we have to build a big tent as Democrats. That means as chair of the Progressive Caucus, I've got a message in a way that brings in voters that are much more moderate, even more conservative than me. But I also urge my more centrist colleagues to include more progressive voters and more progressive leaders. That's how we build the electoral coalition necessary to win, especially when we're facing these anti-democratic threats from people like Governor Abbott, who is trying to rig our elections, divide our communities, and stop us from being able to win in the midterms. We need a bigger tent, and that should include a broad variety of voters.
I got one more question for you, that being what happened this week with the Republicans passing that rescissions package, which includes $1.1 billion in cuts to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And that funds about 1,500 local public radio and television stations around this country. For Native Americans, public media is often their only news source, and it delivers critical alerts during emergencies. So if these stations are forced to shut down, what are your concerns about Americans who depend on them?
Rural Americans depend on their public radio stations. People all over the country put their kids in front of Daniel Tiger and other incredible PBS shows. And so why is it that House Republicans and Donald Trump went to go cut billions of dollars from that? In my view, you just have to look at the fundraising reports. The Republicans suddenly had a blockbuster fundraising quarter. So also that some billionaires could buy a second yacht. Also that the Republicans could more easily fundraise for their campaigns. They're making sure that rural Americans don't have access to the weather alerts and the news that they need. That's what we're dealing with here. It is deeply unpopular. We're mobilizing the country against it, but we cannot allow states like Texas to violate the Voting Rights Act and make it so that we don't have a fair election coming up next year. That's why we need Texas legislators to delay this process, to fight back, to filibuster, to quorum bust, so that we can have a national response to what's happening in Texas, have a free and fair midterm election under decent maps, and then hold them accountable for cutting PBS, cutting NPR, cutting Medicaid, cutting the staffing we need at our weather service that is supposed to be keeping us safe from things like the devastating floods in Texas.
Texas Congressman Greg Casar, it's good to talk with you. I'll have you back again soon if you can make the time. Thank you so much.